Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about a missing child's case out of San Antonio, Texas. Lina Khil is a 3-year-old toddler who basically vanished into thin air in San Antonio, Texas back on December 20th of 2021. And there's literally not been a single shred of evidence found, even with the FBI getting involved. John Walsh plans to release an episode about Lina's case tomorrow, Wednesday, September 21st. So let me go ahead and get you guys caught up. Some information on the background of the family is pretty important because it said that her father, Riaz, actually assisted the United States Army in Afghanistan. This family are actually refugees from the Paktia province. After him helping our military kind of got spread around, he started getting death threats on him and his family. So because of these death threats, when they came to the United States, they did have a second son. I believe the little boy would be around 2.5 or 3 right about now. And Zarmina, the mother, was pregnant at the time of Lina's disappearance and has since had the baby. On Monday, December 20th of last year, Zarmina decided to take her to the playground at their apartment complex. Now, the story goes is that this was sometime between 4 and 5 p.m. and Lina was wearing a bright red dress with a black jacket and matching black shoes. Zarmina felt the need to leave her there at the playground and run back to the apartment to grab some bottled water. Then the story goes that she got back to the playground, started handing out several other kids bottled water, and then noticed that Lina was gone. Now, it's a little strange that you would just leave your toddler on the playground, but to be honest, if you go and you look at some of the security footage that there is of her being there, there are several people there, and it's said that this family has lived in this apartment complex with like religions and like cultures for about 2 years now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and assume mom probably knew the people there and knew that her daughter would have been watched for a few minutes, but we haven't heard anything about mom asked so-and-so to watch her or so-and-so said they'd keep an eye on her. None of that stuff. Once she realized that Lina was nowhere on the playground, she originally thought that maybe she tried to traipse her way back to their own apartment, and so she went ahead and headed back to the apartment, and once she didn't see her, she knew that there was a problem. Within the first week of her being reported missing, not only were Amber Alerts released, but the FBI actually sent in a specialized dive team to check all of the waterways. And not just waterways were searched. They checked every dumpster, every trash can. They went door to door. They searched ditches, abandoned vehicles. There's literally not a single sign of which direction from the playground she could have possibly gone. And another thing that people should be aware of is that she didn't speak a lot of English, if any. She was only 3 years old at the time of her disappearance, and according to all of the research I've done, only spoke their native language, which I'm going to probably mispronounce here, but is called Pashto or Pashtu. I'm not really quite sure how to pronounce it, but this is what it looks like whenever you write it. So it kind of makes me question if someone was able to lure her away, it couldn't have been with words, unless they spoke her native language. So if it was someone other than someone who knew Pashto, then it would have had to have been with a visual aid or some sort of physical coaxing. It's just such a strange disappearance. Now, even though law enforcement were fast to bring in all the big dogs and do all the crazy searches and put the Amber Alert out, My Paris, Texas Online reported just on January 11th that the Amber Alert was canceled. That was less than a month after she was reported missing. Just a month. In doing my research, I found a video from Michelle Walks, who states that early on, law enforcement reported that there was an 18-minute time gap in the security footage on the playground. And don't you think that that's a little strange that there just so happened to be a camera malfunction where the cameras were turned off right whenever this little girl disappeared? It stated that from 4:49 p.m. until 5:07, the cameras were completely off, and that before the cameras shut down, you could see Lina on the playground in her red dress and her black jacket and black shoes, along with a few other people that were walking around her. So I'm curious if it's accurate, if everyone that works at that facility, at that apartment complex that had access to those cameras, was actually interrogated and checked into, because you'd have to have access to those in order to turn it off, and the timing is just a little bit too convenient. There was a very scary tip that came in that actually led the family to Fredericksburg, Texas, which is actually a lot closer to Kerrville, where I'm from, maybe about a 20-minute drive. So it would be about an hour and 20-ish minutes from San Antonio to get to Fredericksburg. Someone reported that Lina's body was buried at the Cross Mountain Park. So an entire search team went out there and hectically looked around for anything that looked like disturbed soil or anything that had recently been moved to cover an area of the ground. Luckily, they did not recover a body, but unfortunately, this just brought everyone back to square one. There is a woman named Pam Allen who has been working as sort of an advocate for the family. She has let us know that there is a retired FBI detective who is now a private investigator with an organization called Project Absentis, and he's been actively trying to gather as much information as he possibly can. But again, there's literally not a single trace of this little girl anywhere for anyone to follow. Now, as for any active searches, I'm not really quite sure how often the family, the religious group that they're involved with, or the private advocacy groups have been able to actually go out and physically search for Lina, because, you know, as the internet is wont to do, because of the family's cultural and religious backgrounds of being Muslim and Afghan refugees, the world of conspiracy just sort of popped up in this whole entire situation. And rumors started flying of her being sold as a child bride, or killed simply because she was a girl, or that she was sold off. There's even been some theories stating that it could have been Afghani retaliation, because he did have death threats put on the family because of his help that he handed over to the U.S. Army. And to be honest, out of all of the theories, retaliation seems to be the only one that would really make any sense. The father has been a strong forefront in trying to keep his daughter's name out there, and even though, because of their religious and cultural beliefs, the mother has not been on camera, she has done off-camera interviews and used a translator, and she is very much heartbroken. In this off-camera interviews, Armina did have some very heartfelt and emotional words to share with the world, and hopefully to have reached her daughter's ears at some point. We all have the same pain. It doesn't matter that I am from Afghanistan. I have a different culture, different religion. What we have in common is the pain of motherhood as a human is the same as all people, which means it shouldn't matter that they're from Afghanistan or that they're Muslim. As a human race, we should all be feeling the disappearance of this child. People get villainized for being part of groups that have bad intentions, but we all know, as the level-headed adults that we're supposed to be, that just like not all law enforcement is full of shit, not every Afghan or Muslim is a horrible human being or a T-word. So there's literally no reason for any of these conspiracies to be plaguing this family right now. And the entire reason why the conspiracy theories turned into a huge halt in the searches, these people would stalk them and take videos and photos. There was even a man who repeatedly went to the family's home, pounding and pounding on the front door, screaming for them to tell the truth about what happened to Lina. This man was arrested, released, and then went right back to their house to mess with them some more. Never mind the fact that there's 2 other children in that apartment, right? You're just banging on the door like a lunatic, but not caring about the crap that you're literally scaring out of the other 2 kids. Make it make sense. And the last and most latest interview that I saw with a San Antonio police chief, he is in full belief that something did indeed happen to Lina. People do not just vanish into thin air unless they are helped. And there's no way that this little girl was helped on her own accord. And even though there is technically no proof of a crime or an abduction, hello, camera footage, 3-year-old disappeared, what else could it possibly be? They are treating it like a hybrid. She is listed still as a missing person, and because of lack of evidence, they cannot classify fully that this is an abduction investigation, but he says it's being treated as both. And even though the advocate for the family claims that they haven't heard from law enforcement in quite some time, the police chief, promises that this is not a cold case. They just haven't gotten any more leads to go on. Her father has even said that even though bringing this new baby into the family was supposed to be such a joyous event, that there's a huge piece missing, and he doesn't feel the same joy in welcoming this new addition as he did whenever Lina or her little brother was born. And that is very tragic. This is a very sad time if you really think about the fact that this family is not only welcoming in a new baby, but they're also mourning the residual loss of their oldest child. It has to be hard to feel anything. Is it wrong to feel sad while I'm holding my newborn? Or is it wrong to feel happy because I'm holding my newborn? It has to be a horrible conundrum. I don't know if the John Walsh episode is going to have any new information, but I sure hope that something gets brought to light. A 3-year-old little girl doesn't go missing and not make a noise, not make a sound, and not be seen, especially since we see there were multiple other people in the playground that day. So she could have walked off the walkway and gone out of sight and been taken away, or someone could have coaxed her out of the playground, but no one is saying that there was anything suspicious. And I do have a little bit of concern about the fact the mother just left her in the playground as a 3-year-old, thinking that just even a few minutes would be okay. But then again, according to them, child abduction is not normal in Afghanistan. It's kind of crazy to think that a country that is so third world and that we would not survive very long in, being Americans, don't have as much missing children as right here where all dreams come true. A little strange, isn't it? Something to think about. All right. See y'all.